And when Queen reached out to me, I genuinely took probably a week to respond, sorry Queen, because I was like, oh, is this a really good idea for me? But I was like, no, I need to say yes, because it's 2 months in advance and then I can deal with it then. Yeah, I think public speaking and doing all of that is so important with business, because you're going to have to be pitching to really important people, you're going to have to be talking about your idea a lot. So yeah, I think doing stuff like this is...
I love that.
Yeah.
Who would have ever known?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, to be honest with my business, since I'm dealing with drinks, the fact that I started getting support, and you know, companies, when somebody trusts what you're doing and they're giving you funding and they're giving you support and it keeps on happening, and I'm like, okay, so this is actually, you know, like there is tons of drinks out there, but why they choose me? So what I'm actually doing is actually paying off, and you know, when you see that, I just think it's just amazing, and I'll keep on drinking coffee and do it, yeah, because you know, it just gives you that, all my days, like what I'm doing is actually great. So yeah, I think that is...
Sorry, can I just, were we talking about what was...
So
getting out of your
comfort
comfort
zone.
So for me, really, it was when I got to the point where I got investors to create a company, like a limited company, and I had to put together a business plan for £500,000 investment, and I'm really bad at numbers, and I hadn't made any pitch decks that I would think were good enough for that kind of level of investment. And so I heard myself say, actually, at the beginning with the people I was talking to, is I would always be saying, oh, I'm just really bad at that stuff, or, you know, and I would fob it off as something that I wasn't good at. And actually what I learned was that I am good at it, I just didn't understand it. And I actually just needed to find somebody who was kind enough to sit down and explain it to me step by step. So now I understand what a forecast is, and I understand what all those numbers are. I probably can't tell you what they are, but if you pointed at it, I'd understand it. And the same with writing a pitch deck, but I had to practice it, and I had to send it to a bunch of people. And honestly, when I look back and think about the first pitch deck I sent out to somebody for their advice, it's just embarrassing. It is a little bit crushing. But I think that was, for me, the worst thing, was actually pushing myself to learn the last thing that I knew I was really bad at. But then when I did it, it's very empowering. So yeah, that for me was the worst.
Yeah. No, I love that you guys are still doing it. I mean, that's the only way to get over whatever blocks it is we have. But something else that's quite common and that's been mentioned a lot recently is imposter syndrome. So the feeling that you're in a space but you don't belong, you feel like an imposter, and it's very common both among entrepreneurs but high achievers in general. And I read somewhere that, yeah, everyone from Einstein to Maya Angelou has been through it and felt like an imposter. So have you gone through any of those situations where you're like, oh my god, I so don't belong in this room. Ah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think for me, the only good thing about what I had is that I built it because I needed it, so I didn't feel like I was an imposter about my product, or that it is a product now anyway. It's free, by the way. My app is free for everyone to use. Only companies have to pay me. And then that money goes towards RKO Empowerment, which is my social enterprise, so it is for good. I think that I've lost my train of thought because I went off on one about something else. Imposter syndrome. Yeah. So I don't feel like I was I had that based on what I was building, but I did because I have no quality. I don't have a degree. I don't have any medical backgrounds or mental health training or anything like that. And I guess when I was teaching people, I was teaching them as somebody who was like, listen, I'll help you out, not as an actual, what I would call teacher or lecturer. And so when I started to get asked to go and do training in companies, I was like, I should not be here. I don't know enough about this. But again, it's just like we did before. The more you do it, the more you realise that actually it is the place that you're supposed to be, and it doesn't matter where you start. You're like, I belong here. So yeah, that was my experience of it.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I found out this was a thing, because I just thought it was just me. Like, I always feel like an imposter, especially at the beginning, because obviously when you don't really have anything to go off, and at the beginning I was going to home visits and saying, oh yeah, this is the concept, and they're like, oh, so how many people have you got a place? And I'm like, you know, like trying to like blag it. So there was a lot of imposter syndrome, like a lot more, because it was potentially more true at that point. But yeah, I think I'm so glad that people feel this way, because I think it's quite a common thing. I mentioned before that you do feel quite guilty about not working all the time and you're not doing enough. So I think that kind of ties in with the whole imposter thing. It's like, do I belong here? Am I doing enough? So yeah, I think everyone struggles with it, so it's fine. I like to be put in the same bracket as Einstein as much as I can, so...
Exactly. We all have crazy voices in our head.
I can relate.
Yeah, there are times where, yeah, you do ask yourself, oh my days, but how did I even put myself in all of this, you know? But then, like she's saying, you do get confident with it. You do understand that you belong here because of the results you get, you know. When the hard work is paying off, you know, you do see all the support that is coming around you. So yeah, I think it's normal when you start feeling like that, and once it's going forward, just get used to everything.
Yeah. And obviously as entrepreneurs, you're kind of put on the spot a lot. If it's pitching for investments, or if it's pitching for any kind of support, or just sharing your idea with people. So obviously everyone's going to have an opinion about it, and I'm sure you get quite a lot of criticism. So how do you handle criticism?
I'm always ready for it. I feel like I have all the answers now, because it's like you're the only one that knows your business as much as anyone else. You should know every answer to the questions. Obviously at the beginning you don't, and now, you know, you just have to sort of prepare yourself for most questions. But I feel like I know when someone's about to challenge me or criticise what I'm doing, and I'm ready for it. I'm like, okay, no, carry on. No, I can't wait to talk about it. So yeah, I think it's healthy as well in a way, because it's good to hear criticism, because then it might be something you haven't thought about yet, and you're like, you know what, that's a good point, and let me change something about my model a little bit or something, because there's no point in just getting positive feedback constantly. You need to hear a little bit of negativity so you know that people are genuinely interested in your idea.
I think, I mean, that's basically the best way to look at it, but I'm sending my my app is going out for beta testing in the next couple of months. We've got really good test audiences that we're sending it to, and I'm literally asking for criticism. I want to know what's wrong with my business. I want to know what's wrong with my app. To me, criticism is information. It's not negative. It's information that is going to help me build my business and make it the best business it possibly can be. So I don't think criticism is negative. And it also means that you find out who your market isn't. So when people are like, I wouldn't do that because of X, Y, and Z, it flags up problems, but it also shows you, actually, do you know what? I'm not even going to bother addressing this market, because actually I've had so much negative feedback from it. They're just not for me, you know, because we don't need to actually have a product that goes out that every human on the planet wants to use. I mean, obviously you want that because you can be like, we can make loads of money and help loads of people, but actually, you know, we don't. You can find the people who do want it. So I would say, look at criticism as a positive thing. It also means people have bothered to look at what you're doing and then critique you on it, which actually is really flattering, to be honest. You know, someone's actually bothered to have a look at what you're doing, and then even if their response is negative, it's actually a compliment.
Yeah, you don't want to be surrounded by a yes men just being like, oh yeah, great, and they've not actually looked at it. You're like,
Because it's the no's that's going to help you build your business, basically.
Yeah, like I always say, if everybody likes your product, you have a problem. Because then, one, whether you don't have real people around you and they are not being honest with you, you know. So what I always see when people are criticizing my brand or the drinks that I produce, it's just a great opportunity for me to improve it. And that has been, I mean, with brands, they always compare my brands to Innocent, and that's good because Innocent have just a great product, and for me to compete against them, I just need to get over on their level or over. So I think, yeah, when you're getting criticized, that is just a great opportunity for you just to improve and see what is wrong with your product. And yeah, so I think that's a great thing.
So obviously there's a big diversity here amongst your ideas and where you're coming from, but looking at the startup scene in general, it tends to be quite white and male. So I know there's quite a few initiatives that are coming up now to try and counter that, but what have been your experiences?
I mean, my experience is that because I was working in mental health, everyone I work with is really diverse, because mental health doesn't, well, low mental fitness doesn't actually discriminate against anyone. So I'm the privileged person. I went through my situation as the privileged human, and that's why I built something to help people that didn't get access to the things I had access to. So I was already working in a diverse environment, and I think that moving forward, I have a board of directors, all of whom are men, not all white. But I would love to have some women on my board. I just haven't found any yet. I will. But diversity is the most important thing. And actually, there was a study that came out recently that said companies that have really strong and balanced diversity within their organizations have 60% higher productivity rates than other companies. Because creativity comes from diversity. So it's a really important thing to me personally, but I was the person that got to have the sort of privileged journey through what I was doing. So from the other side of starting up without, I mean, my parents helped me stay in my flat and helped me pay for my rent, and I definitely would not have been able to do it without that. So
I feel quite lucky as well. I feel like when I delved into the startup world is when all these initiatives started of like women in tech or female entrepreneurs, female founders. I think there's so much amazing things they're doing at the moment to help women get into business and building their businesses, and there's more and more like people that you look up to now and be inspired by. So I feel like I've not really felt any different being a woman and being a business owner. I haven't yet come up with any negativity from it, so.
I think when you have somebody who's, I mean, when you are working in a diverse environment with different people, it really helps you to bring different ideas. There is also different perspectives, and that really helps the business to grow.